Welcome back into Wake Up America. I just want to keep you updated on some breaking news that we're just getting into the newsroom. A tweet from essentially the Jen Psaki of the Putin regime in Moscow, in Russia, just came into the newsroom here. I want to put the tweet up just so you can see what we're talking about. It again, this woman that you're seeing here is the equivalent of Jen Psaki in Russia. She is like Vladimir Putin's press liaison. Basically, what she is saying here is if we don't stop trying to help Kyiv, she says the Kyiv regime, Kyiv, of course, the capital of Ukraine, with the latest weapons systems in order to avoid enormous risks to international civilian aviation and other means of transport in Europe and beyond. Translation of that, again, this is just coming into the newsroom, is Russia would possibly target civilian commercial flights. Think about Delta Airlines or British Airways. Again, I'm sure propaganda plays a role in this, but I'm not the expert. Our next guest is. We are entering now day 15 of the fighting in Ukraine as the Russian invasion enters its third week. We are also dealing with a humanitarian crisis we have not witnessed in generations. For more, let's welcome in Iowa Senator and the first female combat veteran elected to the U.S. Senate. She's also a member of the Armed Services Committee. Senator Joni Ernst is with us. Senator, great to have you on. Again, we are just seeing that tweet, but I want to get your reaction to that, and very provocative in nature. What do you make of that? We've seen a lot of this from Vladimir Putin over the last several days. Your initial reactions.
This is abhorrent, and it is very, very provocative. But it's exactly what the Putin regime will do, is utilize these methods of social media and various platforms to get out disinformation and threats. They want to beat everyone down to submission while they invade a sovereign nation. This is their playbook. We have seen this before, but it is extremely provocative, and that's where we really do need to step up and push back. We shouldn't take these threats idly. I do believe that we need to be doing absolutely everything we can to ensure that the Ukrainians have the armament and the means to push back on Russia, everything that we can provide. So I've spearheaded an effort to make sure that we can get them lethal aid as well as those MiG fighters. So we'll see how this goes in the next day or two, but every hour makes a difference for the Ukrainian people.
Okay, so we are dealing with these Soviet-era MiG aircraft. I think the number is 29 that are in Poland. The original plan was to send them to an Air Force base, U.S. Air Force base in Germany, and then Ukrainians could come and assemble them and fly them back to Ukraine and go after the Russian army. Again, we're talking about 29 planes. Vladimir Putin called that an act of war. How is that tweet right there, from a blue checkmark Russian account, not an act of war?
Exactly, Rob. I am with you. I think that this autocratic, authoritarian regime just continues to make threats against Western civilization. And it is an effort to get us to back down and allow them to roll rampant through Ukraine without any intervention coming from the West. But again, Ukraine is a sovereign nation. We are held in account as well with the Budapest Agreement to aid Ukraine and help them against adversaries like President Putin and Russia. And by arming the Ukrainian people, we are honoring that agreement that we entered into to get Ukraine to take away their nuclear arms. So we are obligated to assist this nation in their defense.
Yeah, and that was, done under President George H.W. Bush in the early 1990s. This morning, Senator, and just we were looking for maybe a sliver of hope here about a possible ceasefire. The Russian foreign minister and the Ukrainian foreign minister got together several hours ago in Turkey. We don't get a lot of information about what happens during these meetings after, for whatever reason, but this is the highest level meetings we've had so far. What do you make of that?
Well, I do think that it is encouraging that talks are ongoing. But you're right. We don't know what has been said behind those closed doors. And of course, Turkey has not been a very strong NATO ally for any of us. They do tend to lean a little towards Putin and Russia. So it would be interesting to know exactly what they are talking about.
Yeah.
I think that would be extremely helpful. But we really do need to continue with talks. We need to end the siege upon Ukraine, but we can't do it at risk to Ukraine and their sovereign nation.
Senator, just about 10 seconds. Joe Biden plans on going back to Delaware this weekend. Why is he not doing more to mediate a resolution to this war?
Exactly. He needs to do more. We need to show American leadership here. We are the strongest nation in the world. We should be exhibiting that. I wish the president would step up, take this seriously. Ukrainians are dying every day. God bless the people of Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, thank you so much for being with us this morning. As always, we appreciate it.